Am I doing YouTube correctly? I don't know. Or is that TikTok? Hello everyone, it's Jay, and today I want to talk about drum and bass and big beat. It took me a little while to work on this because these are two genres that I grew up on, but also because I didn't want to get anything wrong towards the community that these genres are in. So if you happen to like my content, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, leave a comment down below on what you think, and let's get into the video. Drum and bass and big beat have been in the music industry as long as hip hop has, probably even a little bit older than that. I mean, honestly, just take a look at the intro song for the Powerpuff Girls. This style of music was originally originated in the mid 80s alongside the hip hop wave. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the sampling and mixing that the hip hop wave was doing at the time. Hip hop's roots come from sampling and mixing some of the most talented artists from an older generation. So it makes sense that someone would go above and beyond and create a different sound and evolve that sound. But both genres never really took off in the 80s. So they still remained a new wave in the underground UK scene because that's really where all of this stuff originated from, was the UK. And I haven't forgot to mention that drum and bass did originate from jungle beat as well from the 80s and 90s. This would eventually change the concept of trance and techno that had already existed at that time. I would say in my mind, when both genres really took off in the mid 90s was when Prodigy made this, or of course, there were numerous artists stepping onto the scene as well to really make this genre of music pop. One example that I can think of off the top of my head that really made this stand out was Source Direct. Which, if you recognize that song, it was actually used in the movie Blade. Or for the Big Beat fans, the Crystal Method, which this song was used in Gone in 60 Seconds. You started to see a new wave in music that brought a futuristic industrial sound, which in return was used in movies like The Matrix or even metal bands like Slipknot. I mean, it's no secret that drum and bass were kind of the pioneers of like the whole gothic industrial sound that we hear today. And speaking of Slipknot, can we talk about Sid Wilson or DJ Starscream and how talented he really was, or is actually? I mean, his solo stuff is just amazingly good with drum and bass, and he was really good on live performances as well. But moving on to the 2000s, drum and bass and big beat had finally set a name for itself in the music industry. It was so popular that it became the background tracks for early 2000s movies as well as video games. I mean, just take a look at Charlie's Angels. One video game that really got me hooked on drum and bass in the early 2000s was Midnight Club 3. I mean, just the intro alone to that game showcased its power in the industry. CB and Calix really killed it for that game soundtrack, by the way. And during the early 2000s, you had artists like Noisia and Black Sun Empire stepping onto the scene, really pioneering a new sound in drum and bass, big B, and even dubstep. But after the 2000s, both genres really took a turn for the worst. Noisia kept it going with bangers that ended up on Step Up movies, and the Crystal Method ended up being on the Fast and Furious franchise. But with the evolution of music and the rise of EDM and dubstep in the 2010s, both genres were no longer the future of sound. But that doesn't mean that both genres actually fell off. Skeptical is one artist that I can think of right off the bat that is keeping it going. I mean, just listen to this. And Noisia has a radio station to keep it alive as well. Even though they split up recently, they are still keeping the genre very much alive. Drum and bass and big B are another one of my inspirations when making music. Each genre has this futuristic industrial sound that has set waves in the underground atmosphere and shed some light on some amazing artists. Artists like Dom and Roland, Bad Company UK, Calix, Optical, Noisia, and TB. All of of these artists have been a very inspirational piece for me in general. This has been a long time coming making this video because I grew up on these genres and always loved that futuristic industrial sound, so I really didn't want to get anything wrong. There's so many artists that I could talk about for hours, but I just don't have enough time to talk about it. But this will be the end of my video. Like I said in the beginning, if you happen to like my content, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you think, and I'm out.